lot of journeys, the salesperson stops as soon as it's closed won. They're like, I'm out. But I think what you explained is a good scenario where salesperson's actually meaningfully thinking about the experience post sales. And hey, I want to keep this relationship going. I want to go back maybe with this person in maybe many years, switches companies and wants to buy again. I want to be there for them, or I want to help them transition into being a customer so that they have an easy handoff. So I think what you explained again is a great part of the buyer's journey where it's not just like start, stop. It's really this flow.
This is the snowball effect. You're listening to the Marketing Playbook series, presented by the Snowball Effect podcast. It's growth done right.
Hey, this is Todd, and welcome to the Snowball Effect. This is our Marketing Playbook series, and let me tell you, I've got a really great guest today that I'm excited to introduce you to. His name is Kris Rudeegraap. Welcome to the podcast, Kris. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me on, Todd. Excited to be here.
And Kris is the co-founder, co-CEO of Sendoso. That's right there in the Bay Area. Is that right, Kris?
Correct. Yep. Born and raised in the Bay Area and started the company in San Francisco on a shared desk with my co-founder for the first some odd months. Good time.
You get to know him pretty well, right? When you're staring at him all day. Way back in the day when I started an agency with my co-founder, and we did a similar thing where we had a little fold-out desk and he was right there.
Yep.
And we would work about half the time and we would debate the other half of the time. And here's how arrogant we were, Kris. We thought, we're going to set up a live stream because our debates are so good. They are so good. And so we literally did it. We set up a little live stream and we did it until we watched back the first day of our debates. And we're like, nah, we suck at this. This is the worst. No one is going to care about this. But anyway, I would love for you to just give a thumbnail sketch to our folks a little bit about you and about Sendoso.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. So I started Sendoso about 8 years ago. Prior to that, I spent about a decade in software sales in the Bay Area, mostly in sales roles. And I really saw firsthand the evolution of email outbounding. And what I mean by that is I saw where, doing a mail merge was like, a genius move back, 10 years ago, if you could figure that out. And then these email tools popped up to make it easier than ever to send out a gazillion emails. And I really realized that the effectiveness of email was starting to diminish. And that was like my lifeblood in sales, is I needed email to book more meetings, to close more deals. So I said, what else could I do to augment email and a diminishing return? So I started writing handwritten notes and sending them out to prospects. I started, hearing a dog bark on a call and going to Amazon, finding a dog toy, shipping it out to a prospect, or sneaking into the marketing swag closet and packing up boxes. And it worked super well. It was just manual and time consuming to pack boxes and run down to FedEx, click on FedEx tracking links, get my boss to approve an Amazon expense report, swearing that it was a gift for a prospect. But it all worked. So I was like, why isn't there a solution to make it easy to like click a button or set up an automation and allow you to send out stuff more at scale? And I kind of saw that as part of the future, and a few other epiphanies around account-based marketing starting to take off, around just the need for new channels. And that gave me the inspiration to start Sendoso, which for those of you listening who are not sure what we do yet, we are a corporate gifting and direct mail platform, making it easy for sales, marketing, CX teams to engage with prospects, build pipeline, drive revenue by sending stuff out. Could be a t-shirt with your logo on it, could be 10,000 bottles of wine, could be a handwritten note and a dog toy.
When I go home, my wife is Annie. She's famous for, she gives me an Amazon pitch every time I go home. She's basically on the payroll for Jeff Bezos, because every time I go home, she's just like, let me tell you why Amazon is great. And the reason she loves it is because 3 times a week, it feels like Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. She gets a package, she opens it up, and it just feels like Christmas morning. And that's what I love about what you do is rather than an email or something like that, you're sending them just a little Christmas gift.
Exactly.
Feels like Christmas morning. So I just think that is the coolest thing ever.
And I think it's the psychology that plays into it. We're tapping into that, which is the unboxing of something that's unknown, the reciprocity of getting something and feeling thankful and having to want to give back to that. So those things really play into the effectiveness of gifting and direct mail as a channel. your wife would probably love one feature we have, which is an Amazon integration. And this was something that was built out of feedback from a customer really early on that wanted to send something from Amazon. And so what we built is this way to use your Sendoso account balance as a rep and go in there and say, hey, Kris has a baby. Kris likes the Warriors. I'm going to go find a Warriors onesie, and Amazon will ship it to our nearest warehouse. We unbox it, rebox it, put a handwritten note in, track it through CRM, and send it out. And the recipient thinks they have a perfectly personalized gift, and it's a perfect workflow for us too.
That's killer. I am not introducing that feature to my wife because otherwise I will just hand you my banking information.
Yeah, exactly.
And you tell me when I run out of money. That's fantastic. Well, as you can tell, Kris really understands the buyer experience. And before I get into that, because I really want to dive deep into that, I'm interested in something that you're passionate about, Kris. And I want you to tell me about something that you just love, that just really gets you going. And more than that, I want you to pitch me on why I should be as passionate as you are. So let me have it.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I'm passionate about is sales. I've been in sales for the last 2 decades. I think what we do now is helping salespeople, albeit helping marketers as well, but it's a combined revenue team working together. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think it all boils down to human connection. People buy from people. And if we can create more human connection by way of, creating that surprise and delight moment when you're opening up a box, it's something that just gets me going. And I love talking about it. I love sharing wins and hearing about customers. And I like sales. I like helping people make money.
All right. I don't like sales as much. I've done some in the past. I sometimes get uncomfortable. Like I'm probably encroaching on them personally. And so pretty soon I'm apologizing and just saying, hey, let me see myself out. But okay, why should I be as passionate about sales as you?
I'd say it's a way to think. I rethink sales as being a way to help someone else realize a solution to a problem that they have. And if you're really good at sales, you're really consultative and you're really able to understand this prospect has a problem, we can solve it, and they're going to be better off because of that. And I think if you truly believe in what you're selling and you truly believe in the solution and the problem you're solving, it doesn't feel like sales. It feels like you're helping somebody.
Okay, I can get behind that. All right, so you're super passionate about it and you're helping people solve problems. Okay, I can get behind that. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I can get behind that, Kris. So well done. All right, let's jump into the buyer's experience.
Yep.
I want to hear a little bit about, you've been at this for a while. So help me understand when it comes to the buyers and the customer's experience.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things? What are some things you see where people just suck at it?
Yeah,
And I want to help people suck less
exactly.
at helping the buyer experience. So help me through that. What are some things you see?
Yeah, and I'll take this in a couple different ways, but from what I've seen across the thousands of customers we have, as well as some of our internal learnings, the first thing I see, and you kind of mentioned this, the buyer's journey, the customer's journey, I see those. Some people create those in silos. The CMO builds, or the CMO's team builds one, let's call it the buyer's journey. Meanwhile, the chief customer officer and their team builds one called the customer's journey. And there's not a handoff in between, or there's a missed handoff, or there's a miscommunication of data or experience, or people repeating themselves. So I think the first is thinking about it not holistically. I remember years and years ago, I was talking to somebody at Google and they just called everyone customers. You're either a prospective customer or you're an actual customer. You're not like a prospect and a customer. You're not a buyer and a customer. You're just a customer. It just depends on where you are in your journey if you've actually paid yet.
Well, that
So I
really
think
unifies that journey, right? As far as just,
exactly.
okay, they're all under one umbrella.
Exactly. So I would love a chief customer officer to be obsessed about the first touch, super top of funnel, making sure that aligns to 4 years later to the renewal. And if those are working in tandem, you really have an important and meaningful buyer customer journey all in one. So I think that's the first one.
Let me build on that just for a
Yeah.
second, because there's something that we try to do here internally. And I want to ask you if this is getting closer to that
Mhm.
approach. I mean, we're B2B. We sell to, a lot of home service companies, solar and moving and things like that. And we help them with their word of mouth. But one thing that we've tried to do on the marketing team to really try to take off those blinders, like you said, and be like, we got to bring in prospects. But as soon as somebody signs on, I'll jump in and follow them on LinkedIn, add a comment, because I know that, hey, in a few months, when we're kicking butt and you're
Mhm.
loving it, I'm going to be reaching out and saying, hey, I'd love a testimonial. I would love a case study. And
Yeah.
so we try to nurture that relationship just a little bit. Do you think that's getting close to that principle that you're talking about of unifying?
In a lot of journeys, the salesperson stops as soon as it's closed won. They're like, I'm out. But I think what you explained is a good scenario where salesperson's actually meaningfully thinking about the experience post sales. And hey, I want to keep this relationship going. I want to go back maybe when this person in maybe many years switches companies and wants to buy again. I want to be there for them, or I want to help them transition into being a customer so that they have an easy handoff. So I think what you explained again is a great part of the buyer's journey where it's not just like start stop. It's really this flow and how can you be a part of the whole thing.
All right. So we're getting closer to
Yeah.
getting it right. So I appreciate it. But anyway, tell me some other things that you
Yeah.
see where companies just get it wrong.
So the next one I think is marketing caring too much about the MQL and really, again, not thinking about holistically closed revenue, win rates. So I see oftentimes marketing just obsessing over the buyer's journey and overemphasizing, okay, they booked the meeting, we got the MQL, but not maybe running campaigns to improve the win rate mid funnel. I think that's starting to change more as marketers are more tied to a revenue number than just a pipeline number. But I still see in many use cases, sales is on their own, creating their own campaigns or creating their own, journey in the pipeline without marketing helping come in with air cover.
Yeah, as leading the marketing team here, sometimes guilty as charged of that exact thing where, hey, let's get some demos, let's get you and then it's a little bit of wash our hands and you're welcome, sales team, take it from
Yeah.
here. But really trying to connect and stay a part of that, I think that makes a lot of sense. What else do you see, Kris?
Yeah. So I think another one comes to mind is uh, as it relates to outbound and the experience that buyers experience, which for a while, and I'd say the last decade, has been really like a sequence of steps. First time I'm going to email you, then I'm going to give you a cold call, then I'm going to social media hit you, then I'm going to email you, then I'm going to Sendoso you. And it's basically just literally steps. As opposed to, I think there's an opportunity to rethink this based more on intent and rather than buyer one just getting hit with 7 steps. If buyer one is coming to your website, showing you intent, maybe there's some other intent signals you're pulling. They download content, they went to a webinar. Put them down a different path, or prioritize your engagement with them than just making your sales team work all of your leads in steps. And I think that intent data is becoming more readily available. It's becoming more integrated. And I think sellers and marketers need to rethink their step based outbound approach and really think about it as an intent based outbound and how they prioritize. And then that should, on the flip side, make the buyer's experience better because they're not just being hit with another next step. It's catered to their intent that they're showing.
Are there any tools that come to mind or that your team uses internally as far as gleaning some of that intent data?
Yeah.
Anything that your team's, played around with?
Yeah. So Sixth Sense has some great data on that. You know, Common Room, RB2B. There's a long tail of these intent providers, Factors, Warmly, Koala, Zoom Info has some amazing intent data. Unify. So I think the nice thing at Clay is great. We use Clay and that we can pull in a lot of different intent data from a lot of different providers. So you don't have to just go out and buy from one. You can aggregate it all together. So I think there's no excuse why you're not using intent data anymore. I think maybe 5-10 years ago it was harder to get this intent data,
Right.
but now it's readily available, priced based on the size of your company. You can buy it if you're a small business. You can buy it if you're a Fortune 100, and so I'd really rethink your buyer's journey based on the intent that you're seeing versus just a seller's journey is maybe one way to talk about what I think a lot of sales and marketing teams are doing.
Oh, I love that. A big RB2B fan. And then we're toying with Clay right now. So it's nice to hear that we're exploring some of the same tech stack that
Yeah, we had
you've
a great
utilized.
success with Clay recently, and we really rethought our entire outbound strategy and baked in some really cool features based on Clay.
Fantastic. Well, let me take the flip side here. So you've
Sure.
talked about some mistakes that people make, and
Yeah.
there's probably going to be some overlap here. What what about folks that are they're just nailing it? They're just owning this journey. What are they doing that really stands out to you, Kris?
Yeah, well, I'll toot my own horn and say gifting and appreciating their customers, their users, their prospects.
When's the best time when people that are just really crushing it? When are some of those key times where they might surprise somebody with a gift?
Yeah, so I think there's using it as an attention grabber and then as like more of a thank you surprise grabber. So I think from the attention side, when you're trying to book a meeting or you're trying to get someone's attention to join in a webinar or an event, I think are great reasons to send something. But then there's those simple surprise and delight moments, part of the experience, like after a demo, sending someone a thank you. Or one of the things I love seeing is like, salespeople do this, like, hey, just checking in, any updates? Hey, checking in, is the contract ready? Instead, you could say, hey, happy Friday, lunch on me today. Let me know if there's any updates, and send them over a DoorDash gift card for lunch. Like that goes a long way. There's also, after they become a customer, to welcome them with a nice welcome kit. Even graduating from onboarding is a good reason. And then having other life events too, whether they just got a promotion, whether they just had a kid, other reasons why you can build that human connection, which again, I hound on this: people buy from people, renew from people, work with people. How do you build that human connection?
I'd love to know some other things that you see where
Yeah,
people are
for sure.
just crushing it.
So I think building communities, I think people love to be a part of communities, whether that's an advisor community for your company, whether that's a user community, whether that's a customer advisory board. So I think empowering your customers, or even some of your prospective customers, to feel a part of something even bigger, the movement that's behind, being a Sendoso super sender, we call it, really drives you to want to, be more of an advocate. So I think that's critical.
What platforms do you use or to bring those people together? Are you talking about like a Slack thread or a
Yeah, I think
Slack
Slack
channel or
thread. There's a tool called Insighted that Gainsight bot that is really good for communities. There's a couple other community platforms out there as well. I think it's very easiest to Slack thread, or you can even do like a Google group email list. But and then depending on the resources and the money, there's really cool community software that you can buy to embed more functionality within your website too.
so gifting, surprising and delighting people with gifting, building the community. What else do you see, Kris?
Yeah, I think thought leadership content and data I think is really interesting because you are sharing really interesting best practices. You're sharing data to make them ultimately a better user of your product and learn more. And I think again, people want to learn. People want to improve on their skills on how they're using your product. There's something more compelling and personally, achieving a milestone like, wow, I just used Sendoso to launch this campaign. I just learned about this data thing, or I learned about this new use case I didn't know about. So there's some satisfaction with achieving more results. So I think thought leadership content is something that companies are doing well to drive advocacy.
One thing that we've seen with that where it's been really successful, Kris, and I'd love to know your thought, is just really unique data and thought leadership that they can
Hmm.
only get from you. For instance, here at Snowball, we've had over 300,000 conversations with customers of home service companies because
Wow.
that's kind of our bread and butter, is
Yeah.
nurturing these conversations. And so our CRO just took a lot of data that we've learned from home service company customers and presented that, and we found that people just ate that up because they can't get this from ChatGPT, they can't get
Exactly.
this from Google. So we
Yeah.
found that to be especially good. If you can, is something unique that your company can bring that nobody else can bring to the table.
Yeah, we did something similar. We partnered up with this company called Hockey Stack, and they have a labs group that is kind of in the marketing attribution space. So they're privy to a lot of data. So they looked across 400 million data points of people, including gifting in their marketing and sales. And they came back with some really interesting data points that we were able to then bring to the audience. So the benefit there was really unique data. It was a third party data set as well as us providing our kind of ancillary notes and commentary. But what they found was like using gifting can double win rates compared to not using gifting. It can 6x second call rates as opposed to not using gifting, and you can close deals 29% faster. And so it was a good like almost A/B blind test because they had so much, hundreds of millions of data points on campaigns or outbound sequences that had no gifting and ones that did. And I
Interesting.
think that was really interesting for our audience to justify why they're using us, and then for prospective people out there, just having that talk track is interesting.
Oh, I would love that. For example, I would love, now you can take this and run with this, but I'm gonna assume would be a hard and expensive project here, Kris. But a brain scan. All right, that's all you need to do is a brain scan of somebody, because I'm thinking of my wife as she
Yeah,
opens
yeah,
up a package from Amazon,
yeah,
just to see what's happening in the brain and the mesolimbic system. I just happened to learn that word yesterday, and so I have to drop it and sound smart. But what's happening to the mesolimbic system when somebody actually opens a gift and
yeah.
just see the fireworks? Oh, wouldn't that be cool to say,
That would be
wouldn't you
awesome.
want this experience for your customers? And so that's all you got to do is
We
just,
could have
it's just,
some like meter or some kind of like
that's
graph
right.
in the UI that showed that when the gift's open and delivered, we're like,
Like,
boom, you're
here's the
off.
level of dopamine
Yeah,
that is now
exactly.
hitting their system as they get your gift. Okay, so that's fantastic. I want to ask you, just building off what we've talked about, Kris, is just turning buyers into advocates,
Hmm.
into just people that are organically maybe going to talk about you, or maybe not organically. Maybe this is an organized, something you're building out as you're building out your community.
Hmm.
How do people turn buyers into advocates in your view?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's doing a lot of the things we talked about, but doing so in a way that you are purposefully doing it. So again, I think it's a great question as it summarizes some of the things we talked about, which is how do you map out this buyer and customer journey that hits on these things of inviting people to your community, on providing amazing service, on sharing educational thought leadership content, on gifting, and all of that done right just turns people into advocates. At the end of the day,
I, I
it's basically it's the input output. I think if you wake up today and be like, I want to make Todd an advocate, maybe you're going the wrong way. If you got to think, what is the leading indicators that will result in his advocacy, and that part mapping that out in the buyer's journey we talked about will just result in it with you just waking up to that.
I love that holistic view and that mind shift of treating them that way. You've said a word here a few times, Kris, that I'm interested in, or a phrase, and it's human. It's
Mm-hmm.
this human touch. It's making things human. Everyone's a buzz about
Yeah.
AI, right?
Yep.
And when you think, I mean, artificial intelligence, all
Yep.
right, the thing that just screams inhuman, that
I
just
know.
feels robotic.
Yeah.
So in this world of AI and technology, and yet your passion for making things human, how do you reconcile those? How do you make that work for a really good customer experience?
Yeah. So what it boils down to for me when I think about AI is the biggest levers that AI can help with, and ultimately is it's kind of two part. But first is how do you use AI to be more productive, and how do you be more productive to drive more results for your customers, which in turn solves their problems better, faster, easier. And so when I think about that, I think about different uses of AI that will benefit the customer. So one is like, let's just say as I'm a marketer and I'm trying to create a piece of content that's educating my buyer or my customer. Well, I could use some AI to draft up a version one of that, which would then more quickly allow me to finish that content and get that to my customer so that they're able to see that or quicker and learn from it. So I think, I'm a proponent of AI assisting and drafting, but then the humans going in there and coming up with the final result. Similarly, with social content, you might have, the reason to use AI to create some clips for a video or a podcast that you're recording. And then you get that out in the world and an awareness that then one of your buyers or customers listens to it and has an epiphany or learns from it, and AI helped you draft up some snippets and some quick videos way faster, maybe weeks and weeks faster than you could have done on your own. Or I think, you know, with Sendoso, for example, we have access to, 8 years of data, hundreds of millions of gifts being spent, and we're able to capture that, use AI to then turn that into gifting suggestions. And so then our senders, our users can spend less time, be more productive, sending the right thing. And ultimately, the recipient gets a better gift that hopefully grabs their attention and educates them on what that seller is trying to sell them and hopefully solves that solution. And so for us, we really think about AI as what's the right gift to send to the right person at the right time with the right message. And all those things result in a better buying customer experience too.
There's so much there that you said that I really love is one in the marketing realm, right? Automating and augmenting some of what we do
Yeah.
in content creation, for example,
Mm-hmm.
where maybe AI isn't writing your content, but it's sure helping you brainstorm and it's sure helping you craft ideas.
Yeah.
I heard someone recently say it's not artificial. Don't think of it as artificial intelligence. Think of it as assisting intelligence.
Yes.
You
I
know
think
what I
that's
mean? Like
exactly that's how I feel about it.
it's
That's a
just
perfect.
amplifying what you're naturally doing. You said another thing, Kris, that I really love as far as time savings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just crunching, like, I don't want to go in and make all these clips. Well, maybe I fold in an Opus clip or I fold in one of these
Exactly.
other tools and it just clip, it saves that. I love that. But you said something that I want to double click on, which is using this data and using AI to send better gifts or to learn more about what people might appreciate and get
Yeah.
suggestions. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I'll take it one step back to talk about like my framework and how I try to evangelize personalization in gifting. And so one, you can personalize around the person. So Kris has a dog, Kris has a baby, Kris likes plants, Kris likes golf. That there's like 10 things you could send me right there. You can also personalize around the signal, going back to some of that intent data. Hey, Kris just changed jobs or got a promotion. I'm going to send him some champagne. And that's personalized around that signal or intent. And then the last is the action. You can personalize around the action. Hey, I want Kris to go attend this golf event. I'm going to send him some custom branded golf balls with our logo on it and an invite to say, hey, come to this exact golf event. And that's personalized around the action. So those are the things that you want to think about when you're personalizing the person, the signal, the action. And then, once you are there, there's other things that you can do. You can personalize the message that goes along with that gift. You can, and we can help with that with AI. But at the end of the day, you really want to, send the right gift to the right person at the right time, the right message. And that's going to both increase your likelihood of conversion if you're sending that gift, and whether that's booking a meeting or whether that's just getting a thank you. And then the recipient's going to love it that much more, because who doesn't love personalization?
I love that. Looking down the road a little bit, as far as what's coming with AI,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask, what do you see as far as the future of AI and how it might impact the customer experience?
Yeah. I think the nearest trend that we're seeing over the next few years, call it, the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, is really the AI agent kind of explosion. I think,
Mhm.
Salesforce was talking about Agent Force. And I think it'll be an interesting time where you have more autonomous agents, which I think, we've seen mostly to date this assisting intelligence. But now we're about to embark on an era where you just say, good luck, agent, you go do the work without me interfering. And so I think the jury's still out on how that will work. I think there's a lot of benefits to companies, and the time savings and the cost savings, but it'll open up a new world where new job skills, like, maybe you're a marketing manager and you're managing 2 employees and 16 agents, and your skill set is shifted. So I think, there's going to be a workforce change and a education of, your skills, and how you need to adapt to this ever changing AI agent world that we're about to live in. But I think it's exciting because it's, ultimately, hopefully, pushing the envelope on efficiency and productivity, which should ultimately create more output, and more output means more solutions for solving problems for the customer.
I love that. And there's something that you said right at the beginning of our conversation that I'm going to pull out from your experience,
Yeah.
where when you were first starting Sendoso, you were sending out emails, and then correct me if I'm getting this wrong. It looks like you proactively just found another way to
Mm-hmm.
surprise somebody with some personalization, right? You were
Exactly.
packaging gifts, and
Yep.
this was just something that organically came
Yep.
as you thought, how can I make this special? I think that principle
Mm-hmm.
lays over the future of AI.
Yeah.
Is great. Here's some time savings, right? Now I got to think, what can I add to
Yeah.
make this even more personal, right?
Exactly.
So I just think that concept from your your journey, I think really could inform marketers out there. This is a chance for you to get more human
Mm-hmm.
and infuse that in. Um, any other advice you would give to marketers out there, or people that are really trying to take this journey and enhance it? Anything in general that you would share if you had one bit of advice to say, here's what you do to make the customer journey just special? What would you tell them?
You know, one advice that I'd say that is really actionable to this right now is, you know, your network is your net worth, and it's not what you know, but who you know. And so I would urge marketers to go out and start a conversation with someone they haven't talked to in 2 years, to another CMO they admire, and cold call them on LinkedIn, or post in a community, that you're a part of, to say, let's grab coffee and chat about the future of buying experiences. I think that, the best way to learn is from others, and the best way to continue to develop your skills is by having a network of friends and advisors and mentors. And I think as many people got, we're excited in the honeymoon phase of remote work, it's also closed off from those human connections where you can get that aha spark or that inspiration from a cup of coffee with a random another marketer. So my tactical advice is, like, go grab coffee with a stranger next week.
The common thread I've heard over and over from you, Kris, is just infuse that human touch and that human connection everywhere you can. I think
Exactly.
that's a fantastic charge and challenge for people. So, Kris, This has been a fantastic conversation. I just appreciate you giving us practical, not just tools and principles, but just a vision for a way
Mhm.
to really enhance the entire journey for customers and prospects. If people want to keep this conversation going, they want to take advantage of what Sendoso can do for them. What's the best way for them to reach out to you and to reach out to Sendoso?
Yeah. If you're curious on what you heard from today, there's a lot of really interesting content on Sendoso's website, so sendoso.com. Check it out. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, give me a search, give me a follow, add me, love connecting there. Or if you want to personally reach out to me, send me an email. It's Kris, Kris, at sendoso.com. Love meeting new people. But yeah, Todd, this was awesome. Love the conversation, and thanks for having me on.
Hey, and if you want to hear more of what Kris has to offer, go check out his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, GTM Roulette, is that right? I love it because he'll actually have just the smartest guests on ever, and then he'll spin a wheel and ask them random questions. And
Exactly.
so I absolutely love that. Everybody that joined, I promised you that Kris would come here and teach us how to enhance the customer experience. And Kris, you did not disappoint. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining the Snowball Effect. This has been our Marketing Playbook series, and we'll see you next time.